This is actually my favorite part of the day, because I don't get to talk that much, and you get to ask all of the questions. I think this has been extremely useful. It's good hearing consultants talk, but I think it's even better hearing your peers talk about their experiences, and when we really have a fantastic panel here, I think very diverse, but also very distinguished agencies, all going through, I think, different phases, which are very relevant for you. And what I'd like to do is ask a few questions to the panelists. The panelists, I think, no longer need any introduction, and then really open it up to you to ask the questions that you've been holding back all day. Ladies first, I've been told, so I'd like to start with Camilla. And Wouter made a point about branding image. I think you called it, what did you call it, above the line marketing or top line marketing?
Yeah.
And there's always a debate, marketing versus sales. So you have a limited budget, how should you spend your budget? Should you spend your budget on branding, promotion, or should you spend your budget on more sales-directed efforts? You mentioned Birmingham has an image issue, and you're spending money to address that. When I speak to agencies in Spain, one of the main issues I hear right now is we have such a bad image. I hear from different regional agencies in Spain, it's very difficult for us to sell Spain right now because we're getting so much bad press, and all the news about Spain is negative. Are you, as Invest in Spain, doing anything to address that?
We are anxious to stress that our particular little bailout package was for the banks, not for the government. And that is a message that, from top down, we emit whenever anybody asks us this question. And the truth is, as a person living in Spain, and furthermore a non-Spaniard living in Spain, hand on heart, I can say it's not as bleak when you're there as it is if you open the FT.
Sure.
It's really being painted rather more bravely by the international press than is our perception, at least in Madrid. We feel that the austerity cuts have been so severe that there must be almost imminent improvement.
John, Ireland had its own crisis.
Yes.
And it was, it was a close call for a while there. It was looking a little risky, but somehow your image managed to come out of it completely unscathed. In fact, it's been probably improved. So how did you do that?
Well, there was a couple of weeks, I suppose, in November of 2010. Well, let's say 2 weeks when I stopped calling companies. But after that, I think the bottom line is that as long as companies are convinced that the economy will recover in the long term, and that there is no fundamental chance of collapse, that's the level of their interest. And unfortunately, the Big Four were saying, look, Ireland is fine, the tax is not going to change, don't worry. We were saying the same thing, and companies' decisions eventually come down to, are the people there? The costs to an extent, and what are the benefits? So companies tend to be quite pragmatic in terms of spending on publicity and so on. Every couple of years we'll put quite a bit of money into a branding campaign. Some of them have been very successful. In the 1980s, we had this wonderful thing called the Young Europeans, and that actually got legs in the marketplace.
Wouter, maybe I can start with you. Financial services is what you put up on the slide, but on a day-to-day basis, do you go deeper? Do you look at different segments of financial services? How focused are you in your approach?
Yeah, we have a broader category, which is financial, business and professional services, so it's even bigger. But actually, when you dig down into that, and what we would say the offer is broadly on financial services, middle and back office type functions, but actually we've probably got a much more of a focus on legal process outsourcing, for example. I mean, Birmingham has quietly become the UK lead on everything regulatory. So we have 4 or 5 of the largest public sector regulatory bodies in the city, and increasingly a large number of UK and international law firms on the back of that. So that's one of the key areas that we're focusing on at the moment. If you do look at digital media from or creative industries from an FDI perspective, although we wouldn't expect large amounts of jobs to come from that, we know that we have a very, very strong proposition, not just in video games, but a level deeper, serious gaming. So it's much more about those games-related or games technology-related companies that have developed the software that can be applicable to, the NHS, the National Health System, or other industries.
Does it make sense for you as Hong Kong to be that focused?
One of the things that they've done, and it's got the full backing of the Chinese government, is launched a campaign which is entitled Hong Kong, China's Global Financial Centre. And that campaign involves all these different bodies, all these different people. They're getting together and they tend to target a particular location one at a time. So this year they took the Global Financial Services campaign to America. There were major events and lots of marketing, lots of publicity in big US financial centres such as New York and Chicago. Next year it will come to Europe, so it will come to Switzerland, come to London. And when that happens, all of the different players from Hong Kong involved in the promotion of Hong Kong's financial sector will land in London. And there'll be a strong emphasis on collaboration